Hey, thanks for listening. Please subscribe to our newsletter at theproductporch.com for notifications on the latest episodes and exclusive content.
She's like, Ryan, would you want to come to my calls with me? I was like, Barry, are we doing our thing? I was like, yeah, we're doing our thing. Start asking questions. So it's like, I loosen them up. I get all the questions going. And I say at the end, all right, we heard a lot of things we might be able to help you do here. Barry, can we help him? Yep, here I am. Let's help.
Oh, I love that.
Welcome to the Product Porch with Ryan Cantwell, Todd Blaquiere, and me, Joe Golly. Today, Ryan and Todd talk about how to create a great partnership between product and sales. They even say nice things about sales. Now settle in, folks, because on the Product Porch, every topic is a product topic.
All right, how you doing, Ryan?
I am good today, Todd. How about you?
I'm doing well. I have an idea about something to talk about, and I'm going to use a metaphor here of my two boys.
Okay.
So I have two boys. One is 12 and one is 14. And they fight all the time about everything. But what's really interesting about these two boys, they actually have a lot of shared passions. One of them is music.
Yeah.
In fact, when you listen to the intro to this podcast, that's my boys playing. And
Yes.
What's amazing when they play together, they fight.
Yes.
They both have such talent. AJ is a natural drummer, keeps the rhythm really well. My son, Jack, he's a writer. He writes music. It's fantastic. They're kind of made for each other. And I've had to tell AJ so many times, like, bud, you're going to need your brother. Someone's going to have to write the music. You got a natural front man right here. You're going to need it.
Right.
Then I got to tell Jack all the time, do you know the hardest thing to find when you're making a band? Someone who owns a drum kit, man. You got it in the house.
That's
Your
right
brother's
here.
right there. You got a great drummer and he's right there. Like, you're going to need him. Why do I share that story? It reminds me of the relationship between product and sales.
Oh, yes.
It's product and sales. Product and sales together can create great music. They have different skill sets. They bring different things to the table. And if they're aligned, they can make great music. But sometimes it feels like product is very frustrated with the tempo changing. Sales is frustrated that we can't even get through the song. If you think about that tension between sales and product, what first comes to mind for you?
How long do we have?
Oh,
So I guess a couple comments. Todd, I couldn't help. The whole time you were telling me about your boys fighting and then sales and product, I'm hearing the Itchy and Scratchy theme song playing.
oh, that's
In
my
my head.
boys.
Fight, 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 fight. Yeah.
Yes.
So anyways, but when it comes to product and sales, it seems like we're frenemies, right? We need each other, but we tolerate it because we have to. And that tension comes from, I'm gonna try to summarize this as quickly as I can, Todd. Sales is seeking deal fit to close the deal. Product is seeking product market fit. Broad, big market.
Yes.
And we're seeing like, okay, I need to close this one thing. And products like pump the brakes, salesperson. I can't just focus on the one. I gotta focus on the many. And we're seeing, I think, that as like a chief frustration or friction point, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, think about the psychology behind that and how it affects your approach, right? So if you're a product, you're not thinking about the problem that's in front of you.
Yep.
You're thinking about all the problems. And you're trying to decide which of these problems is the most important problem to solve that's going to affect the most people. If you're sales, that's a huge distraction.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have time to think about all the problems. In fact, if I can ignore a problem and the deal gets done, great. I need to know the problem that's stopping this deal. I need to solve that one.
Right.
And that's all I need. And the simplest, easiest, fastest way to get this sale closed.
Yeah. And then we can talk about the myriad of symptoms that arise from all of that. Like that's where I can get into like sit on the product therapy couch.
Why don't you sit on the couch for a minute? Tell me some of those from the product side.
Oh, okay. I'm ready. So lightning round of things. I think sales, their first reason they lose a deal, it's too expensive. It's always too expensive. There's got to be other reasons. Come on. on. You got to give me more than that. I'm trying to learn here. And it's always too expensive in every instance. Okay. So there's that one. And then I guess the next one would be, I can't close the deal unless you develop this new feature. Like, why does it have to be that thing? And it's always usually something the competitor has. And instead of trying to beat the competition, they're just trying to be like the competition. So another one, I think, is as we look at timelines and expectations, sales always looks at me as either the chief no officer, no, I'm always blocking him, say no, or I'm always the one delivering the bad news of the project is delayed. It's late. You can't get it. Sorry. But I made the promise and you're telling me it's late. Now I got to take the heat, sort of thing.
Yeah. All right. Well, while we're complaining, let me give a couple of mine.
Pile on.
The creation of a whirlwind where we're pivoting from one thing to the next. What's important this week is not what's important next week, because all that matters is the last conversation I had. Right? That's tough to stay on top of if every week the priorities changes based on the last thing I heard in the last sales conversation I had. And sometimes I find there's not a lot of clarity there, right? So when a product person here gets a question, can we do this? A product person thinks of that as they're asking me to accomplish this thing.
Right.
We may not know that they're not actually asking for that. They may just be asking, help me give an answer here that can move me forward.
That's right.
But that psychology is frustrating from a product standpoint because it just seems like constant swirl. The other frustration I think product has with sales is over-promising. Making promises about things, creating features in the moment, agreeing to feature requests in the moment, and other way, committing you to it. That's something I think as product managers we learned early on in our career. At least I did. I learned early on I can't commit the engineering team to things.
Yeah,
they need to make the commitment.
Right.
All I can do is present to them what our goals are, who our personas are, how the market's doing, what our objective is, what the problems we're trying to solve, and recommend some solutions and work with them on those solutions. I can't commit them to what they're going to create and develop in what time period because I'm not the one doing the coding. But sometimes, we have our sales partners committing us to things that we haven't had a chance to weigh in on.
Product, we approach, when we hear an ask or a request, we like to dig deeper, right?
Yes.
Tell me a little bit more. I know there are salespeople out there. They just want to give the customer what they ask for. That's how they see a deal progress. So they're very reactive, and it can make us product people feel a little uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Why do we feel like we have to coach salespeople? That's not our job. Why do we feel like we have to do it?
It's true. I feel that way a lot, and it is frustrating. Why don't we do this?
Yeah.
So let's talk about, so this doesn't become an hour-long gripe session. Why don't we talk about, let's put on our best sales hat.
Yes.
Let's try to do the other side of the coin.
Oh,
hey,
I love this.
We're supposed to be great at empathy. We're product people.
Yep.
Let's empathize with sales and pretend to be them. We're two itchies here. Let's give scratchy side. I'll be sales. You be product.
I'll be product. Okay.
Hey, Ryan, I need to talk to you. So we had a huge account. We were trying to close it.
Yeah.
We didn't close the deal. We lost the deal. The reason I'm calling you, it's frustrating. Really want to win it. It was a big enterprise client for us. But the reason I'm reaching out to you is I want to share their reasoning. They came back and said that we weren't competitive. I mentioned to you that we really needed a bidirectional integration. Mm-hmm. And since I couldn't tell them that we were going to have it by the time they started, they said that was a big reason why, and that they couldn't justify the cost.
Okay, they couldn't justify the cost. So as a product person, that tells me they didn't see the value in our product completely. There was a mismatch there. Did they tell you who they went with and what value they saw in them?
Yeah, they went with competitor X, and competitor X has that bidirectional integration.
Bidirectional integration. And ours was too expensive. So would you be willing to let me talk to them, even though we lost the deal, to find out a little bit more? Maybe we could get sharper, better?
Sure, I can connect you with them. But Ryan, this is a problem we're going to have to solve. I can't keep going into these sales calls and getting requests about these integrations and telling them we don't have it.
Yeah, and I hear that frustration, Todd. As we look at these things, I have to point you back and tell you we have a very clear set of product outcomes that we are pursuing. Unfortunately, bidirectional integration doesn't help us make progress in that direction to hit the goals that we have in the segment that we've identified as part of our strategy. So unfortunately, I understand it is a tough loss. I'm with you. I feel that pain too, but we've got to stick to the plan at this stage.
All right. Can I now?
All right. Yeah.
Can I now take off the kindness mask?
Oh, yeah.
First off, I gotta say, every salesperson I've worked with has been more pleasant than I was in that conversation.
Oh, for sure.
That's just not my strength. But
Yeah.
but let me say this. I think. Well, let me tell you how I felt as a salesperson with you telling me that.
Yep.
Inner Todd wanted to say, I don't care about your stupid outcomes.
I don't care about your roadmap. I don't
care about your plan. I
Yeah.
don't care about sticking to a plan. What I said was we had a huge deal and we lost it. And you've given me zero confidence to believe that we're going to win the next one.
Yep.
So I think like empathizing with, you said this about we could be the chief no officer, right? I also say that we could be the foot on the brake.
Yeah.
I think as product people, we often talk about process, outcomes, problems, process, plan, prioritization. We love P words.
Yeah.
And this all just sounds like more rigidity, more red tape. We're going to move slower. I'm going to ignore you. And I honestly, I felt that frustration a little bit trying to get you to buy in. Just tell me that we can get that integration next time. Like, just tell me that. Not saying that was quite frustrating.
Yeah. So, but we know, I mean, intuitively as product people, we can't just go in and say, all right, drop everything, go do a bilateral integration.
No. Yeah, we can't. And
so how should we respond?
It's a great question. And this is something let's workshop it right now.
Yep.
Let's do this together, because I wouldn't say that I'm excellent at it. There are moments where I think I got it right.
Yeah.
And I have a high failure rate. And I think the reason is, let me peel the onion back. We're just on the couch anyway this whole time, right? This is like a therapist session. I've been trained to think one way. And that's what we're talking about. I've been trained to think outcomes. What problem stops you from getting to that outcome? Solve it. Prioritize the outcome first, prioritize the problems next. And so salespeople don't bring me problems. They don't bring me outcomes. The outcome is close the sale. The problem is never a problem. It's stated as a solution. Give me a bidirectional integration. We need the export button. We need whatever else. That's what I'm given. And so my product brain immediately goes, okay, I need to identify the outcome. I need to identify what problem this solves.
Mm-hmm.
I need to see if this aligns with our chief outcomes that are on our roadmap right now. I need to see if this is more important than other things that compare it to. So we're doing all this calculus, and I think in doing what you were doing, and this is where I think I fall short. I think what we're trying to do is we think we're being good partners by showing them that math.
Mm-hmm.
Almost like, being showing transparent pricing. We just think we're being transparent. Let me show you. I'd love to help you, but we have an outcome roadmap. We have prioritization. We have, maybe we work in a PI planning situation, so we plan quarterly. We think we're being very helpful by showing all that math. But to me, it just kind of feels like whenever someone explains to me the work they're going to do on my car. I don't understand it. Just tell me how much it costs and fix my car. Anyway.
So Todd, what about this? Like, as I'm having this conversation with you, instead of me kind of going, I'm going to call it parent mode. I'm going to just talk at you. That's kind of what it sounded like as I listen to myself back, right?
Oh,
that's
how we all sound.
Yeah. What if I did this instead? Like, if we go back into the scenario, I said, okay, Todd, that is painful. Like, I wanted to win that deal as much as you. And, I want to make sure we don't lose the next one. I think we can work on this together. Have you heard any other salespeople or had any of your own customers also ask for a bilateral integration? Let's open the conversation now. Like, okay, how do we follow that path to make sure this does happen?
I think that's a good step forward, right? One thing I think that I don't do well, and you just did well right there, is first off, empathize. I mean, if a salesperson actually told me, Todd, I'm hurting right now, like I'm struggling, I would totally fall into empathy mode, but that's not usually what I'm going to hear.
And I guess, Todd, and all of us can empathize with this. And honestly, I don't think about this enough. And I had a sales leader once use these words. It made me laugh, but it is true. Salespeople are coin operated. You know what just happened to them? They got punched in the wallet and it hurt.
Yeah, I agree with you. So let's workshop that some more. So I like that. So let's start with empathy. Let's see if we got to first demonstrate empathy. And then, one thing you didn't do, and I don't often do, you didn't ask me how you could be helpful.
Oh man, yes. What a good tip. Okay, how can I help? What do you see as the next step? How can we move forward to make sure we win the next one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what? And we got to be prepared there. We probably don't ask how, because our assumption is they're going to say,
give us bilateral integration.
Just give me the integration I requested and we're going to be done.
Right.
And we know it's so much more than that.
Yeah.
But I wonder if part of that is just first off validating the need for that, Yeah, you're right. We do. It seems like we knew it. It seems like that would be a great thing to have. Let me read something. I'm going to see if we can learn from this.
Yes.
The other day, I had a product manager reach out to me and he's like, hey, Todd, I don't know how to respond to this. I got this request from sales. I don't know how to respond to it. Okay. We jumped on a call together. We talked it through and I said, I went through all the things you just went through, Ryan. Well, we should tell them about our outcomes. We should talk about our problems. And we kept talking. And then I'm like, okay, no, that's not right. That's not right. And I had to tell the product manager, said, I have failed in this regard many times. Let's keep working it. And this is eventually what we got to. And let's see if we can pick out some things here that are useful. So his response was, hey, salesperson, good morning. Great catch. So they had requested, what they had noticed is that this new feature that we released, it didn't solve for a side problem that we didn't consider. And so the salesperson had an objection raised in a meeting. And then the salesperson came up with a solution and, of course, was requesting that solution. So he kind of gets past the solution a little bit and just says, great catch. If the user makes an update in that system, after that occurs, that's happening outside of our system. So then we can't track it. So he's pointing out, like, you're right. That's happening. It's happening over there and we can't track it's true. That said, here's what we do track. So trying to give them, here's what you can say that we track. So here's what we do track. We track this and that, and this is what we track. And if they ever want to dive deeper into this kind of issue, the data is there. So he's trying to tell them, here's where you get to that data. It's down here. But this is what I liked. He said, this kind of tracking specifically isn't feasible today. I know you're focused on keeping the deal moving. Does this help? Or do you think this could still be a blocker?
So I guess the first thing that jumps out to me there are options. There are paths. Like, what do you think? I'm opening the door to have a conversation with you. Do you see this way or that way? What do you think? I like that.
Yeah, the other thing I like is, I like that I know you're focused on keeping the deal moving.
Yes.
That's empathizing. I mean, he's sharing right there, like, right? This is our goal. Like he says, and he asks, does this help? Because the salesperson may say, no, this answer sucks. This doesn't help. Okay, well, then we got to keep working.
Yeah.
The other thing I like, do you think this could still be a blocker? So he's also sussing out the importance. Remember something I said in the beginning in one of my things? We often believe every request is an official request to add something to a roadmap.
That's right.
When sometimes it's just give me an answer I can share with my client.
Yep.
So by asking, is this a blocker? Do you think that this will be a blocker? He's giving her the opportunity to say yes or no. And actually she said no.
Yeah.
She ended up coming back and saying, no, this won't be a blocker. That's good enough. So now think about all of the time he would have spent if he had assumed this was an official request, had then gone to engineering, started discussing with engineering, trying to find the feasibility of this thing, gone back to her, tried to talk her through the importance of our roadmap. Like you said, sounding like a dad. And she'd be like, okay, Dad, I don't care about the roadmap. Why are you telling me about your roadmap?
Yeah.
Instead, he says, You're right. It's not possible. Here's what maybe you could do that's close. It's not feasible today, but does this help? If not, like, is this going to be a blocker?
That's very good. Like, that is A+ work.
All right.
Have you heard, I'm curious because others might be thinking the same thing. Have you heard what the response was? Like how that went?
Oh, that's a great question. I don't know what the response was from the client,
Uh-huh.
but I know the response from sales.
Yes.
And they said, that's great. That's what I need to know. And no, it's not going to be a blocker.
Okay.
Now, there are times, right, where we could feel like it's a blocker, and that's something different. But just that question alone, I think, is one that we probably should use more often.
Right.
Is, hey, realizing in our head, they're asking me how to keep this deal on track, and then asking them, so if I gave you this information, would that help? Do we actually need a plan? Like, what level of solution do we need here?
Yeah.
And finally, is this a blocker? And they may be like, no, I just need to say that I talked to you and that you said not yet.
I like that. Are we ready for another scenario, Todd? What do you think?
Let's do it. Why don't I be the salesperson again?
Yeah.
To see if you've learned anything from the last time.
I like this. All right. So maybe as I respond, I'm going to tell you what I'm thinking and how it's different from what I'm going to say. Like,
Oh,
look at
okay.
that.
All right. Okay, that's fine.
All right. So here we go. Here's the scenario. Sales, like, they haven't called you directly, but you're hearing rumor, rumblings, and conjecture that the feature that has been promised for Q1 is now slipping into Q3. And they are the ones that have to bear all the heat.
This time I'm gonna try to do a better sales impression because
All right,
I
good.
didn't do a good one last time. Let's see if I do a better sales impression.
That's all right.
Let's see. Hey Ryan, how are things going?
I'm good, Todd. It's good to hear from you.
It's good to see you, man. I like that shirt.
Hey, thank you.
Hey, so I just heard. Was really excited about Super Special Feature X. Oh, so stoked for that, man. It's gonna be a game changer. I'm telling you. I have so many clients right now who are stoked about it. Good job, by the way. Good job working on that. Love it. I know it's supposed to launch in Q1, but now we might be pushing to Q3. Is that right?
Yeah, that is right. Unfortunately, the project, we've run into some unforeseen challenges on the development side, or the technical side of the equation, and we're not quite ready to take it to market yet. So we need to make sure that our product has been fully tested so customers don't have a bad experience when it goes into the world.
Here's the thing. This enterprise client that I have sitting here right now, they got so excited by this that this is the reason we're in the proposal stage with them. It was part of our presentation. The idea is that they're going to be onboarded by Q2. So the feeling was, hey, if we get this product out in Q1, they're going to have it in Q2, and they want it when they start with us.
Wow. I didn't realize it was quite that important and things were hinging on it. Tell me a little bit more. Like, what has that customer so excited about this particular feature?
Yeah. So one of the things that they said was they used a similar feature in the past and they liked it, but that whole situation with that product was bad. Then they moved from that product to one of our competitors, and that relationship soured. So they're in the market again. They're thinking about going back to that first competitor. They had that feature. And so that was one of the things they said was, hey, we like your product, but man, if we really like that one feature there, we'd like you to bring that over.
I know how it sounds like this isn't very important to you. And I know this relationship is something you've been working hard at building. How can I help you? How can I make sure that this deal keeps progressing as a result of even though we have a delay in front of us?
Well, first, let me just ask, like, if I remember, it's a pretty easy feature to build. Like, it's pretty small. It's a pretty easy, quick build. And I know that you talked about how there's like some testing we can do. Can we like give it to them to test it? Can we have them do some testing? And so they can use it before it goes to every other customer?
Yeah, I'm sure we might be able to work out some options. There's going to be some things to do. However, I want you to be aware that there are also risks with those options. So I want to make sure what I'd like to do, can you and I partner together? And I want to be able to talk to them to get kind of the lay of the land, see where the needs are. And you and I can work together and put a program together that might give them early access to something here. And we can do it with eyes wide open.
So that would help. If I could promise them early access, really make them feel like they're special, then that might be the difference.
All right, I'll tell you what. This is how I'd like to help. Let's first make them feel special by talking to the product manager. Bring me in, put me right next to you, and let me have the hard conversation with that customer. I'll let them know what's going on. And I can also communicate to them how we'd like to help them in this interim by giving them early access to something. And we can talk about a path that'll get us there.
Let's call that scene.
All right, scene.
I love it. How did my sales impression go there?
It was good. I liked how you started. Hey, like complimenting my shirt. Like, that was good.
I tried to be nothing but positive. I tried.
My plain white tee looked good to that salesperson.
Yeah, he loved that white tee, man. I'll tell you a couple things I try to do as a salesperson and see if you caught them. And then you could tell me, like you said, tell me a little bit about what you were thinking and then what you actually did.
Yeah.
I think that would be great. So one of the things I was trying to do, I see salespeople sometimes, they're trying to find a solution. Mm-hmm. I did inject I remember this is kind of a small feature, like it was a piece of cake, because I hear that a lot. Like,
and my eyes roll. Yeah.
It's so easy. It's so easy.
Yeah.
And then trying to come up with creative solutions. I admire that. Often the solutions aren't feasible, but I admire that trying to come up with solutions. And I don't know about you, but sometimes I shut them down so fast. I thought you did a great job of not just shutting down my idea, even though you're like, we can't call that testing. Like, I'm sure in your head, you're thinking we can't call that testing, but you didn't just like shut my idea down. You thought about how could we build on that?
Yeah. Yeah. Because actually, Todd, that felt very real to me. I've actually had that very conversation before. Like I've had salespeople say, can't we just give them early access? And what you heard me doing was trying to, here's what I was thinking initially. Then stop promising things you don't control. Cut it out. So I'm trying to put myself in a position or position myself to say, let me help you. But at the same time, let me make the promises, not you. I want to take the heat off of you because I'm going to be able to I have a much better picture of how to navigate that situation with that customer. I can only tell you, okay, let's say yes to this. It'll be easy for you to make a mistake. I'm not telling them that, but it's going to be easy for you to make a mistake.
Something I've tried a lot and I'll just say it has not been successful with sales. So I still am not speaking the right language. What I have tried a lot is to say like, help, get me in there, coach, like put me in, coach. Yeah. I can talk to them. I can sell them on our vision. I get them very excited. And when they know all the things we're doing, rather than just looking at that one feature, they see all these other cool things we're planning on releasing on the way.
Right.
They're going to be stoked. They're going to be willing to wait an extra month for it or an extra 2 months for it. They'll be able to wait. I'll say this. I have not been that successful yet to convince a salesperson. The only time I've seen that work is when I'm already there. When I'm already in the meeting and I do that and they see it and they get very excited that I'm selling the future. Yeah. I've seen salespeople get very excited. They're like, oh, I'm so glad you were there, Todd. You got something so amped about that. But for some reason, I'm having trouble getting them to invite me in.
Yeah.
And I think the key reason, I think there's a good reason for that. And so I'm currently working on this problem. And if something sparks your brain, you have a solution for it, let's do it now. But I think the reason for that is they don't want to slow down the deal. And the concern is that bringing a new face in could actually create friction in the deal process. And so that new face could possibly, instead of greasing the wheels is what we assume we're doing, could actually be sand on the wheels and slow it down.
So I want to tell just a quick story. A shout out to my sales pal, Barry. Barry was awesome. So Barry was resistant to Ryan at first. Wait a minute. I'm not taking you to my customer because I often saw salespeople as gatekeepers to talking to customers too. Like talk about friction between product and sales where no, that's my relationship. No, it's our relationship. Like, let me talk to him.
Correct.
But I was able to warm him up. And we made it to a point where he started letting me ask questions of the customer during his after his conversations. I talked to things and he picked up on things. Like we got to a point where we sat down after a meeting with a customer and he looked at me and said, "How'd you do that?" I said, "What do you mean? How did I do what?" He goes, "I've had a relationship with that client for 5 years. I've never heard them be that forthright before." And I said, well, I think for starters, I don't have sales in my title. They know I'm not trying to sell them anything.
Correct.
So he's like, okay, I think you're right. It's like, okay. And I said, two, I'm asking different questions than you. I'm exploring things that, like, you've got a portfolio to sell. Like, your job isn't to go out of those boundaries because
Right.
I can. So I think there's that too. So he started using me as the bait. So he's like, Ryan,
Nice.
you want to come to my calls with me? I was like, all right. I was like, Barry, are we doing our thing? I was like, yeah, we're doing our thing. Start asking questions. So it's like, I loosen him up. I get all the questions going. And I say at the end, all right, we heard a lot of things we might be able to help you do here. Barry, can we help him? Yep. Here I am. Let's help.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And it is we talked about the drummer and the piano player and the songwriter at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
There are different skill sets that these different roles possess. And we've spent a lot of time trying to craft, how do we understand our customer deeply with a different goal in mind? We're trying to understand how to solve a problem. And when you try to understand how to actually build a solution to a problem,
Yep.
you got to know so much about the inner workings of things. We're trying to understand how they feel, what they think, what their mental model for working is. It's a different understanding of a customer. I won't say that sales is not trying to understand the customer. They are, but if it's a different way. I think we can also sell sales a benefit. Let me ask you this, Ryan. Have you ever been in a sales meeting where Barry brought you along?
Yep.
And someone shares a problem and you felt like, ooh, we really need to solve this problem?
Yes. I have been at a sales meeting where we've heard something. Our product was a health and safety product. So it protected people from hazardous atmosphere and explosive gases, right? So it would alarm when hazards were present in the atmosphere, telling you to get out. So as we were talking to this customer, we were able to, it was a safety manager at like an oil refinery, I think, something like that, right? And we were talking about, all right, so tell me about some safety incidents that you're experiencing. And number one, fall hazards. I'm like, well, we don't do that. It's like, help me solve for fall hazards. Well, tell me more about fall hazards. Like, what's happening? Well, people are climbing up on things all the time. They fall off ladders. They fall climbing up the steps. It's a serious problem. And, a lot of our workers, they're alone. So you have these people on like oil pipelines and things, or they're off in the corner of the refinery. And if they go down and say break their ankle, they can't move. They might have a radio,
right?
Trying to get a hold of somebody, but we often don't know what's going on. It's like, oh boy, how do we help them? And in those meetings, I'm hearing something. We don't have a solution for that. So I could feel, and even my salespeople and I after those meetings, like, we're talking and like, he's providing me more evidence to say, I hear those things all the time. This is, in fact,
Sure.
It's real. Like, it's real.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, we have opportunity to create value. So what do we explore, uncover? And then what I'm trying to convince my salesperson of at that point is like, wow, this is really interesting to me. Help me get more evidence, please. Because now that's useful to me. And it's going to help both of us, because I'm going to give you more ammunition or more tools in your toolbox when we go and try to make a deal, right?
Well, I'll tell you, if we have any salespeople listen to this, I would tell them this is exactly why you want a sales product person in your calls occasionally.
Oh.
Because I would love it if it was a perfect world where they always trusted us and we always trusted them. That'd be fantastic. That is a perfect world. But the reality is it hits different when you hear it. And we listen in a different way, right? Because we listen for the problem, not the solution. We listen for the outcome, not just the thing that they want. And so what is really meaningful there is when we're part of those sales calls and you hear something like that, suddenly we're motivated. And why wouldn't a salesperson want a product person to be motivated to solve the problem that's slowing down their deals?
Yeah, I need to get the attention of this buyer. It is hard for me to do that if you don't help me here. Like, that's kind of what I would boil it down to. Like, those are the things I was hearing.
Yeah. Or in another way too is, I'm trying to get these deals closed. I need this thing.
Yeah.
I want Todd to come make these things, but he doesn't seem to get it.
Right.
Why don't I bring him and let him hear it firsthand?
There we go. It's like the same reason we as product people want to bring our designer or developer along with us so they can hear it firsthand.
Yeah.
It's like the same thing.
Bring us along. We're going to hear it firsthand. We're going to be more motivated to solve the problem. Why not?
That's right.
I want to call out some things I noticed recently in a sales call that I really liked and appreciated. Product people need to recognize this value in salespeople. First off, we have no chance of working with them if we just see them as scratchy to our itchy.
Right.
One of the things I enjoyed about watching a salesperson recently I was on a call with is the way he talked about our product. It was so smooth.
Yeah.
His message was so smooth. It was so clear every time. Now, why? He has that conversation all the time. He's practiced that. He's found the right way to say it.
Yep.
If you ask me about my product, I probably give you a different answer every time because I don't answer that question that frequently.
Right.
And I realized he was saying this. I'm like, I should commit some of this to memory. I attend events occasionally. I would love to be able to talk this clearly and concisely about my product as he's doing.
Yep.
The other thing that's great is what a great opportunity to hear, are we connected end to end? Is that message, that why that we built into our product, is that being reflected here in what the salesperson is saying? Does it seem like the customer hears it? So anyway, it was a good learning experience for me. I saw some areas where I need to improve in how I talk about the product. I also, going into sales calls has helped me see sometimes you don't need a full solution. Sometimes you just need a tweak to your message. And when you're a product person and you join a sales call and you see it firsthand, sometimes you go like, oh, you just need to be able to say that. I can help you say that.
Yes.
And then we can move on.
These small tweaks like that, as you said that, Todd, it makes me think, not even just tweak the message, but even you're recognizing, hold on, maybe in your territory, you don't have the perfect target segment available to you. Like you might not be talking, we might need focus on this instead, and it's going to help. It's like a little calibration, right? Yeah.
Or even us walking back to our product team and going, oh, guys, you know how they've been requesting X and we have been pushing it off because we can't get that prioritized. We know it's a big lift. Now that I joined a couple of these sales calls, we don't even need X. We just need to move this a quarter inch to the left and we're done. Like, let's just do that and we're going to solve their problem. So anyway, that's some reason for us to attend. But I do think we need to empathize with salespeople a little bit more. Like if we're truly, and we need them.
I know, because it was funny. I was with a group of product managers today. And we did a little bit, like we were talking about sales. Like some of us had to pretend to be salespeople in kind of the work that we were doing here. And literally one person said, I feel oily. Like salespeople, and not in a bad way. It's just like, I'm not comfortable doing this. Imagine like they are like, do your thing, please. Cause I am not comfortable doing that.
And that's the thing I say a lot of times to the team here. We want them to be that way.
Yes.
You talked about them being coin operated. We want them to be.
Yeah.
We talk about them being kind of bullheaded and they keep asking for their same thing that they want. Yeah. We want them to be, that's how they get sales. So we don't want them to change who they are. I think that what we need to do is flex our empathy muscle and be really good at understanding them and see if we can pull out how important this thing is. Is it a blocker or is it something I just need to give you a good message or a good note that you can take and progress your deal?
Yeah. And I think a tip, I've given this tip frequently on this podcast before, but I think too rarely, and I'm very much to blame of this, Todd, is I'm going in hot with assumptions instead of just asking
100%.
them like, what do you think? What are your goals? Do I understand you right? I just make assumptions. Ugh, those salespeople.
Right.
No, why can't I be curious and make sure, hey, do I really understand where you're coming from here? And I want you to know where I'm coming from. I want to be a little more explicit about that, because what do you think, product managers? Like, what's your perception? So I can reset your reality if that perception's off a little.
Right. Now I'm going to share some things. I said there's some things that are working, some tactics. I actually asked our VP of sales, I reached out to him and I said, hey, we're going to have this conversation. Let me know what us product weirdos do right and what we do wrong.
Mm-hmm.
He said, by the way, I love this weirdo product team. But what he said was, I've appreciated high visibility and easy access to what's coming now. By the way, something we didn't even discuss. Easy access to what's coming, what's happening now, what's coming, and what's on the roadmap. He said, clear, simple documentation that is easy to access and comprehend. Now, that's been a big thing I've focused on here. We provide anecdotes with each of our features.
Oh.
So we'll show a feature to the sales team, and then we give them a little 3-sentence anecdote. That's like a little story about our users doing this. Oh, they had this problem. Oh, but now they got this, and now they have this benefit.
I love it.
And we just make that little story. It's really easy to understand. The last thing he said is, I've also appreciated the high-level release notes and version update notes. He said the key is to have it all in one place.
Yep.
And it is true. We get these questions from sales over and over again. Where's this? Tell me about that. And so one thing we've done here that seems to have worked is and by the way, we created this at the request of our VP of sales. So I'm glad he asked. But what we created was a document that is a link to all the things they know that they need. So the newest features coming out, we have a one-pager, we have the anecdote on there. We have a link to the feature that they can show, like they can show the picture where that is. We have links to roadmap, release plan. Like we have all these links. And I do, by the way, mark what they're not allowed to show people or share. We got that. But regardless, one place, and they're like, wait, what's that thing? Todd talks about guardrails. What are guardrails again? Go in there, open it up, boom, it explains what it is and how it works.
All right. What do you say? Is it time for takeaways, Todd?
I think so.
The word assumptions keeps coming up. I mentioned it earlier. I think both sides are a little bit to blame.
Absolutely.
When it comes to assumptions. But the real friction between product and sales, I don't think it's really about the features that we decide to develop, the pricing that they think is too expensive, thing that we're not bringing to the market to close. It's not, in fact, about that at all. It's about maintaining trust between both parties, because honestly, the tension is okay. I'm not saying you can eliminate it, or we even should. Some of that tension is good.
True.
Yeah, that we should have it. But the things we can control from our side of the equation, from product management's perspective, is we can do things to help build that trust, be better communicators, and reduce assumptions that are made, and ensure that we are speaking the same language about what winning truly means for both of us.
Yes. My key takeaway from all of this is what I said about empathy. You can't have a great partnership if you can't recognize the abilities in the person you're working with. The challenge my sons have together, when they play together and they're playing well, it's beautiful. It is beautiful. We have to start listening to our sales counterparts. We have to start recognizing the value that they possess, empathize with them, and do a better job of trying to support them and enable them to be great, as opposed to, seeing them as the enemy who doesn't know what they're talking about.
Oh, well, this has been good, Todd.
Hey, you know what? It wasn't a complete vent session.
I know. I thought it
had the risk.
I thought it was going to go too deep and start to twitch a little bit, but not at all.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks. I'm glad to see you. It's good to see you again.
All right. As always, this has been fun.
All right, have a good night.
All right, you too.
Thank you for joining us on the Product Porch. We release new episodes every 2 weeks. You can also find us on LinkedIn for more content. We offer a special thank you to AJ and Jack Blaquiere for the music. The views and opinions expressed by the hosts of this podcast are their own and do not represent nor necessarily reflect those of their employer.